All right, welcome to the session on building a better board. I am Dr. Kendra Robinson, and I am here to help you come up with
All right,
strategies with
welcome
strengthening
to
and
the
governance and
session on
finance and
building a
fundraising
better
support
board.
for
I
your
am Dr.
nonprofit
Kendra
organization.
Robinson, and
And a
I
lot
am
of
here to
times,
help
people who
you
start
come up with
nonprofits or who
strategies
are
with
on
strengthening and governance
nonprofit
and
leadership
on building
team,
a better
they are
board for your
always
nonprofit
concerned about
organization.
the
And a
board.
lot of
They are
times,
like, I either have
people
too many people who aren't supportive, or I have a good board, or whatever. But they know that the board can make or break the organization. So it's very important to make sure that you have a good, firm foundation because they are the sounding board of your organization. They are here to govern your organization and make sure that your organization is operating in its most optimal setting. So, as I mentioned, am Dr. Kendra Robinson, and I am the founder of my nonprofit, the Community Outreach Coalition. I have been in existence since 2008. In 2017, I began doing consulting for other business leaders. And the goal of this session is to help you identify strategies that will help you select the right board members that are equipped to support your organization and help with your operating and with your fundraising efforts. So, first, let's get into what board governance is. And these four areas are the areas in which a board member is committing to support your organization. Fiduciary oversight is the financial oversight, making sure that you are operating with good financial strategies, that you're turning in your correct paperwork, that you're operating as you're supposed to when it comes to your federal, your state, and your local operations, that you are managing your money well, and that the grants, the donations, and everything that you get, you are being good stewards of. So your board members are there to make sure that that is what you're doing and to also provide strategic direction. So if you have a goal of where you want your
money
organization to
well
be,
and
where you
that
want
the
the vision
grants, the
for the people that
donations,
you
and
serve to
everything
be,
that you
they need
get,
to make sure that
you are
they are
being good
offering some
stewards
type of
of.
strategic
So your
direction
board members are
for
there to
your
make sure that that is
organization
what you're doing
so that they can help
and
you
to
implement
also provide
strategies. So
strategic
develop a
direction.
strategic plan and
So
implement
if you
strategies
have a
that
goal
you
of where
can
you want your organization to be, where you
utilize
want the
to make
vision for the
sure that
people
you are
that you
meeting
serve
your
to be,
goals
they
and
need to make
objectives for
sure
the
that they are
organization.
offering some
They're
type of
also there
strategic
to help with
direction
fundraising and developing
for your organization.
resources that your organization may need because sometimes it may not be
So develop a
just
strategic
a
plan.
financial thing, give you money, help find you money. It could be, let me connect you with a community partner. Let me put you in a room with certain people that are going to help you get resources that are tangible, whether it's in kind support or whatever, and it's not always monetary. And then they're also there to support you, providing executive support and accountability. You know, making sure that the staff and that the volunteers and everybody who is involved in day-to-day operations and board governance is held accountable in doing what they're supposed to do, that they are managing the funds, that they're managing the programs, that they're doing exactly what the mission is set out to do for that organization. That is the role of a board member. So there are different types of board members and different types of boards that people can be. So sometimes you say, well, what type of board is this? If somebody's asking you to be on a board, you ask them, what type of board is it? Is it a working board? A working board means that those board members are doing the work too. They're out there doing fundraisers, they're out being a part of events. They may not be able to give as much financially, but they're working and they're doing the thing to help make the organization thrive. You will see them boots on the ground getting stuff done. Every board isn't a working board. You see this more so with organizations that are started by individuals in the community. But when you have boards that are national affiliates and larger boards, they are either a governing board or an advisory board. So when we're talking about a governing board, these people are approving financial decisions, approving staff member selections. They are approving new programs being added. They are approving the different operations that's going on. They have their hands in seeing what's going on and voting to make sure that it aligns with the mission. The advisory board, um, they advise. So they are literally there to um, make sure that, hey, everything is going smooth, but we're going to just offer some insight and some input. And the people who are actually running the organization, they may have more authority to make some day-to-day decisions, but the advisory board are people who have expertise in a specific area, and those individuals are offering their expertise and providing recommendations on what should be done. But ultimately, between the staff and the board, they're making a con conjunctive decision in conjunction with each other, what it should be done, like what should be done in these situations. They will bring in the staff, the day-to-day people, and then the advisors will come and offer their expertise, and together they will make a collaborative decision on what should be done. So you can also have a skills versus passionate. So it could just be a bunch of people who have the same skill set. You know, all of them have a certain skill set, so they're on the board because they feel that they have the best insight on how to manage it. Or it could be a passion-based board. Hey, this nonprofit brings cancer awareness. Some of the people may be passionate about getting the word out about screenings, etc. So they're passionate about this work. They may not have an expertise in it. They may not have a background in it. They may not have the capability to do a lot of work, but they offer something because they're passionate about it. But there's common challenges that boards face. You have those passive seat fillers, people who are just on the board to say, hey, I am on the board. They have not contributed financially, they have not contributed with insight, resources, connections. They are literally just there to add that to their resume and make their resume look amazing, or because they have certain people around them that helps them enhance their career. Then you have lack of clarity. A lot of people join the board because it sounds like you all do amazing work, but they have no idea what's going on. They don't know what's going on in the day to day. They don't know what is going on with the organization in the future. They just don't have clarity. And because they don't have clarity, they don't do any work. And that is a common thing because, especially with the founder syndrome, when nonprofit leaders are founding nonprofits and they have all their ideas about their organization, they do all the stuff that they have. Um, by the time they get to a board meeting, it's so much that has happened that they may not have told the board members everything that is going on because it's stuff from A to Z. So finding a happy medium of how to keep your board involved, how to bring clarity. We're going to talk about some of those things so that when you're recruiting for your board, you will start off on the right foot. But then there's also challenges with board members that have minimal fundraising engagement. Like they love the passion of the organization. They love the mission, the impact, and the drive that everyone has. However, they're not good fundraisers. They can't raise money. They can't connect you to funders. They don't have a lot of money to give. It's just not a lot going on in this fundraising engagement area. So you have to find ways to overcome that. because everyone's not going to have that expertise, but there's a minimum standard that we can offer. So let's talk about some key elements to help you have a strong board structure. So in order to have a strong board structure, you want to make sure that you have clear expectations from the start. When that person first either gets aligned with the board, when that person first decides when they want to come on the board, when you're talking to them about coming on the board, you give them clear expectations, okay, of what you need from them, what you expect from them, and what it is that they're going to be doing. So you have to have some type of formal onboarding and orientation process. Some form of onboarding and orientation process has to be set in place for every person that is on the board. They need to have some type of onboarding and orientation process, and you need to always constantly be updating it for new practices and new information that may has changed as new people come on. Then you want to be strategic about your recruitment process. You don't want to do what I did and just say, "Oh my God, you love our mission and you love what we do and you always volunteer. Come be a board member." That does not mean that they're a good board member. Just because somebody wanted to do it is not a good reason of why they should be a board member at all. And I had to learn that the hard way. So that's how I'm able to help you all with this process. So once you're offering that clear expectations will give you a better engagement process because they know exactly what's expected of them. It's no gray area. They can't say they didn't know. People who know what's expected of them, they can either say yes or no. And once they say yes, you hold them accountable for what they said they could do. So when you offer clear expectations, you need to have things in place like board job descriptions. You need to know that as a board member, this is your job description as a board member. If you have an office, this is your description as an officer. So everyone has a job description, expectations and responsibilities. Board members have a give or get policy. It's up to your board and your bylaws to be created to say what that give or get policy is, but I recommend everyone have some form of give or get policy if they do not have a standing dues that's substantial. If you don't require board members to pay a certain amount of dues to be a part on your board, you should have a give or get of at least $100. And that means they have to either give your organization $100 or find someone who can give $100 on their behalf. That holds accountability for them fundraising. And then what are the meeting and committee expectations? What are the board member meeting expectations? What are they supposed to bring to the meetings? How many committees should they be on? What should those meetings and committees look like? And what's the expectations of those things? What are the outcomes of those things? So you also need an effective onboarding process. They need to know when they are a part of this board, what the mission is and what the fundraising model is. What's your strategy to raise money as a organization? What is your mission, your vision, and your impact? They need to have impact stories, either personal or you need to have a toolkit of saying, these are the things that we've done so that they can memorize those things and be able to say, hey, I wasn't there, but in my tenure, I was moved by the fact that this organization served such and such a people who did this and this was their transit. They should be able to share the impact of your organization and what it's done. You should also have an annual calendar of events so that they know what's coming up, board meetings, committee meetings, events, fundraisers, programs, etc. All of that should be up there so they'll know. And then they should also know how many times they're expected to come. You know, I know they can't make 100%, but what's the expectation? So when it comes to recruiting board members, you want to have things like from your current board members, you want to create a board matrix. And a board matrix pretty much says, hey, this board member knows different people from different avenues, and that will help you decide who you can reach out to. So, say for instance, you have a board matrix and you say, you know, how many people at your church have a similar mission or are interested in the cause that we have? You know, do you know any lawyers, any police officers, any teachers, any people in the school districts, any community leaders, any political figures, any bank owners, any this, that, and the other, whoever, they would write that out so that when the organization is saying, hey, we need some lawyers on the board members that knows different lawyers can say, hey, I have a friend that's a lawyer and I have this friend that's a lawyer. And then together they can strategize on which lawyers they think will be a best fit to join the board. They can do the same thing with, hey, you know, we're looking for somebody that's a college professor. Everybody can write down all the college professors that they know. And then they can make a decision collectively. Okay, we decide that we want to reach out to these three college professors and see if they're interested in joining our board. So that is one way that you can recruit strategically. But then you want to also
Mhm.
diversify the skill, experience in your network. All right.
Mhm.
So you want to know people who are well
Mhm.
known in the community
Mhm.
who have a large network of people. Then you also
Mhm.
want to connect with people who have expertise or skill in a
Mhm.
certain area. Say, for instance, you're working with food insecurity. Okay, you want to have somebody in the food industry, whether it's culinary, whether it's
Labor force
manufacturing,
na.
whether it's farming,
Mhm.
whatever. You want to have some people in those
Dami
connections.
na
You may
eh.
want to also
Isip ko
have
to.
social workers or whatever your board says that they need certain skills and expertise for, that is what you sit down and you strategically say, these are the type of people we're trying to develop
Dami.
and bring onto our board to make it a stronger board. Because if you go out and just tell everybody, this is we're
Dami.
feeding the kids that are hungry, and then people say that they want to
Dami na
help,
mawala.
you might get somebody who may not have a job, someone who just may be getting out of school and may not know that many people. So they can't bring the same insight as the people who have a certain experience, skill, or network.
Nag-live.
So you want to
Nag-live
think
stream.
about
Parang
as the
gusto mo eh.
board, what type of skills, experience, and network
Tawid ka.
does the
Bala na po.
person have to
Then wala.
have to be on that board to
Wala
be
tayo
of
naman.
value so they can bring insight, so they can offer connections, different things like that. And you want to be intentional about your interviews, letting them know the type of person you're looking for, what the person that you're looking for should bring to the board, what you expect of them. So make sure that you have some type of application and interview process when it comes to adding people to your board as well. So the first tip that I want to
Naman.
give you is you want to recruit for strategy, not sympathy. Just because someone says, "Oh my gosh, you know, I really connect with your mission. It's amazing. I really want to help." Let them be a volunteer. Let them help. Let them be a volunteer because they have to have their influence, time, and their given history, intact before they can join the board because it's a lot. They have to be able to connect with people around them and tell them, bring in participants and people for you all to serve, bring in people who are going to donate money, bring in people who are going to join the mission, who are going to collaborate with the organization. So they have to have some type of influence. That all takes time. You got to have the time and the capacity to be able to serve on this board. You got to be able to have the ability to give. So give or get to be on the board. Your mission and the things that you have, resources that are available have to align with the mission. It shouldn't be far left. It should all coincide. So you want to be strategic on who you recruit. Then you need to have a board commitment form. Once they say that they are going to join the board, they are committing to your organization, and annually, you should have a commitment form that every board member signs that says, these are the responsibilities that I'm committing to. These are the give and get expectations that I'm committing to. And you review if they met those goals annually. Annually. And they sign it annually, every single year, committing to the expectations. And if they do not meet those expectations, you should have criteria on what happens when they don't. Don't be afraid to say, I don't think this is the best time for you to serve this organization. We would love to continue to have your support, maybe as a volunteer, but at the time, I don't believe that you have the capacity to serve us. Lastly, tip 3, you want to engage them in storytelling. They should have talking points and testimonials that they could take everywhere with them when they're talking about their organization. They should have statistics and pictures and everything they need to be able to encourage people to support your organization. They should be able to advocate for your organization. If they can't do that, then they are not equipped. So they definitely need to have all of those things to be able to tell the story about your organization. So when you put it all together, you want to make sure that you are setting expectations early, that you're training and engaging them regularly, and that you're keeping the mission in the front and center of every conversation and every engagement so they'll know why they're doing it. They're doing it because of the impact that your organization has. So, some sample tools and templates that you should find to support you in this process is making sure that you have a board matrix for your board members so that you can strategically recruit, that you have a commitment form for your board members that outlines their expectations and responsibilities and their financial responsibilities, and that they have some type of storytelling worksheet, booklet, kit, or whatever that has all your information in it, that has pictures, impact stories, statistics, everything so that they can talk educatedly about your organization. So I challenge you to make sure that your board has clarity plus accountability, because that is a board that can fundraise. They need to have clarity plus accountability, because that is a board that will be able to fundraise. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A section of the Nonprofit Support Portal. We can all get together and talk about it. If you have any of these tools, some of them are in the resource guides section of the portal. Look for those there. I definitely have board applications and different things like that. So if it's something that you need, that you're saying, hey, I don't have that, but I want that for my organization, and you can't find it in the resource section, drop that information in the community so that we can make sure that we are working together to get you that, because we want to make sure that every nonprofit in here is successful. I hope you gained some insight, and I thank you for all that you do.